Hi everyone, this is Rohan Ayyar from SEMrush, and I've been fortunate here to be invited to Kolkata and Indus Technologies. I'm here with Abhishek Rungta, the founder, and we are going to chat today about content marketing. And I want to ask him a few questions from the point of view of agencies, how agencies can do content marketing better. So we're going to have a little chat here, and
Sure.
Abhishek, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'd like to ask you in general about the scene of content marketing. What are the opportunities in India? How agencies are faring? What is the state of content marketing in general?
I think content marketing obviously is one of the most powerful tool that a digital marketer has access to. However, it is a tricky subject and it does not show immediate results, and that's the challenging bit. So the biggest challenge that lies here is to understand what works and what does not work. And since it takes so much time, at times you waste a lot of money till you figure out what is actually working for you. The best way to do it right is to continue to measure the outcome of what's happening due to the content marketing that you are doing. So again, though it looks fancy, and content marketing again can be a very good looking stuff, one should be very careful that they don't overdo it without having clear measurements and having clear goals which are set up, and those goals and measurements should be continuously looked into and fine-tuned and tweaked to make sure that it works. So for example, it cannot just be that we have created 20 pieces of content. That is a useless metrics to track. What is important is that how much of that content is being viewed, read, shared, downloaded, and in fact most importantly used. Now I'll come to the part of used a little bit later in our conversation. I will put more emphasis on how the content can be used, but I think we must have that clarity from day one, that how do we want to measure the success of a piece of content.
Right. So when you must be approaching a lot of companies as from the position of an agency. So what challenges do you face in maybe converting your leads and convince them towards trying out content marketing? Are they still in the mindset of SEO focused marketing, like they want higher Google rankings, or are they really educated already that they want to do better content, better branding through content, or are they just focused on rankings? So what challenges do you face in converting these leads when you approach them the first time?
So different kind of companies. So you have the mid-segment companies who are very ROI focused, who only want to spend 1 rupee in digital marketing if they can get 2 rupees out of it. Then we also have these large companies who don't mind spending in digital marketing as long as it gives them return in terms of branding. So the larger companies are much more open to do content marketing because they also look at content marketing from the purview of branding. Whereas the smaller companies, since their overall business KPI is leads or sales, we do not push them or do not suggest them content marketing on day one, because we know that they will not be happy with that and they will fall off. In that case, what we start with them is basically more on lead gen based digital marketing, which is a combination of SEO, SEM, and a host of other things, and PPC, also social campaigns and stuffs like that. But once they have succeeded in that and they have more confidence and now they want to take the jump to the next level, at that point we come to them and tell them that if you want to really make create a leadership in your industry and you want to walk ahead of your competition, you now need to adopt content marketing, because content marketing again can put you far ahead of your competition, and competition needs to work a lot harder to catch up with you.
Okay.
Because you also need to create that quality of content, that level of position in people's mind, and that takes time.
Right.
It's not as easy as running a AdWords campaign or running a Facebook ads, which can be configured much simply and much faster.
So the ROI doesn't come with 3 months or 6 months. You cannot formulate, or you cannot give them that this formula is there to implement, and you do this and you will get results in say 3 months or 6 months time. But from the Indian point of view, again, that is a very difficult thing to convince clients.
That's
right? Because they want immediate ROI. So what strategy do you suggest them, or is there a particular path that you follow to maybe let them know that if you do these, you take these steps, then maybe you'll get an ROI within 6 months, or you'll be start seeing an ROI within a year or so. Is there a set path that you follow or a strategy you give them?
So see again, there is no single strategy for every business.
Yeah, sorry.
But I can tell you, some of the ground rules that companies should follow when they are looking to do content marketing. First of all, they should look at the TG whom they want to approach. The TG, obviously there are different TGs. I'm not getting deep into it. So you have a TG which makes a decision. There is a TG which buys. There is a TG which influences. So there are 3 different TGs commonly available in any particular purchase cycle. So you need to create content which solves the problem for the TG in context of the offering that you have. I know it's a very complex sentence that I have said, but try to think over it. So a TG has a problem. For example, if you talk about, let's say a person who's going to buy a home, he has a problem, and the problem in context of buying a home. And can we solve that problem? Can we give him answer to that problem? Can we help him in that whole process of buying a home by giving him a piece of content? By giving him a piece of information, advice, knowledge. If we can do that and we can make him feel that it is valuable, then it makes sense to him. So I think that content has to be created with those thought process in mind, and it should be fed to the right TG and in a consistent way.
Right. So what is your advice for identifying this TG, or do you believe in building personas, or do you believe in, what is your process for audience research and identifying this target group before people start actually targeting them with marketing or branding?
So obviously, when you talk about identifying TG, it's not a new skill. Again, here we have to bring this knowledge and skill from traditional marketing. But when you talk about digital, reaching out to that TG and identifying that TG and its segment online is a highly digital focused work, because in digital you have a lot more flexibility, and you have a lot more reach, and you have a lot more you can reach to people in a laser targeted way. So you need to figure out how you can reach to the TG on the digital medium. But obviously the overall methodology of segmentation, persona, we can always borrow from traditional marketing, which has been there for years.
That's true. Yeah. So, and once you've identified this TG, the next step is obviously to target them with content.
Yeah.
So, how important is keyword research? How do you go about keyword research and identifying what the audience is searching for before you create content for them?
So for me, again, I am personally not someone who is too much into SEO, but what I do keyword research is primarily to understand people's intent and a demand cycle, that what are people looking for, what's going on in people's mind, how do I assess the intent of a particular person, and what are the problems that people face. So for example, if there is a keyword search volume which is very high for, let's say, real estate agreements. This means that people are struggling with real estate agreements, or terminology which goes into real estate agreements. In that case, I would actually write content which is around demystifying or clearing up people's doubt around real estate agreements, so that people have more clarity on that, because those are the things people are searching for. And if this is the quality kind of content you are creating, you are going to create a position of power in people's mind. People will respect you. So content for the sake of search engine optimization, if that is if that is the impact of that is 10%, any content that creates respect for you, the impact for that is almost 70 to 80%. So I think you should always create content which can create respect, even if it is less in number, but that is most important.
Right. Do you find that your clients agree with you on this thought process, or
it's always difficult because again,
that can be closely associated with ROI? Then how do you convince them whether that respect and branding and a good impression gives you ROI?
Yeah, so again, at the end of the day, the entire content marketing toolkit has a longer gestation period in terms of ROI. So clients who are not having a longer vision for getting ROI from digital marketing, they should not at all look at content marketing. They have someone who wants long-term sustainable fundamental growth in their digital marketing should only look at content marketing. It's not going to give you any immediate results.
Right.
And when again we talk about content marketing, I promised you that we are talking about how people use content. And I think there are three types of content in general. Content that you can consume, a content that you can digest, and a content that you can use. Right. So a lot of people we see, go for the low-hanging fruits. The low-hanging fruits are the content which you just consume. Right, which is you hire 10 content writers, they go online, they research some content, they take it out, rehash it, put in a nice piece of content, put it on your blog, and you think you are doing content marketing. It's an absolute waste of time and money, because there is so much of information online that any content that has been created purely for consumption is absolutely useless, and it's actually wasting people's time. So don't do that. The next type of content is which is a digest. A digest is what I call where you are trying to be the de facto or the ultimate source of that information. This means people, since they are getting so much information, they will now start, in fact they have already started moving towards sources of information which are the ultimate source of that information, and where you have all the information in a digest form. This means in a shorter form where you can immediately, you are able to learn from it, you are able to absorb that, and then you are able to think over it. Right? So if you can create that kind of content by extensive research, also putting your thought leadership, your ideas, your intelligence into it and intellect into it, then that piece of content becomes far more important and interesting, and which should have a digest of hundreds and thousands of sites which people don't have to visit for that content anymore. Again, it's not about the volume of that content when you talk about a digest, it's again about writing less. I think when I was speaking yesterday, I told that if you have less time, you write a lot.
Yes.
So we have to understand that the person who wants to read here, if he is busy, he wants to read less, and he wants to only read content in a digest form from people who have done that hard work, reduce that into the most important bits.
Right.
The third one is most important, which is content that you can use. So at the end of the day, people want cheat sheets, people want workbooks, people want forms, formats, because that enforces the ideas that you have given. So for example, if you have given an idea about how you can secure your website, let's say you have given 20 interesting tips, or you have created a digest with 100 interesting ideas which has been ranked by importance in a large article. It's a great article, people will refer to it. But at the end of the day, if that is converted into a checklist, and in that checklist you are also putting the range of that the result should fall in between, and based on that maybe a scoring pattern, and then you can also tell that if your score lies between this and this, you are safe, or if your score lies between X and Y, you are in a very, very danger zone and stuff like that. This literally becomes a tool which you use. So until and unless you create content which becomes a tool which people can use, it will not be on the top of people's mind, and it will not be on people's desk. So to do content marketing, to get faster and better results, your content should be on people's desk. And until and unless it is a tool, it doesn't go into people's desk.
Yes. So that's why at SEMrush we have developed a couple of tools
Sure.
that actually help people get this kind of targeted content.
Okay.
And we analyze the type of content that is already working for some keywords.
Excellent.
And there's a tool called SEO Writing Assistant that gives you the nature of the posts that are ranking at the moment, the length of the post, and you can check whether the grammar is right, whether it is copied. So the checklist kind of thing that you were talking about, I gather from your insights that there's a fine line between creativity and optimization of the content.
That's right.
So if it has to be useful to someone, you need it optimized and you need to get it in front of their eyes.
That's
Again,
right.
it has to be unique, and it has to be very different from some other posts that they might have read, or some other videos that they might have seen.
So the bottom line is people have less time, and how can you give him the information he wants in the least amount of time?
Yes.
That's the bottom line. If you can sort that out, I think you have a good quality content, and that is the quality of content that gets you business eventually, or get respect.
That is, and that would be about your own content, the content that you create. And we are talking about so many companies these days, they do co-branding or with partners with other companies, and try to get their own content on platforms that they don't own. Just like social media, we don't own Facebook, but we want our content on Facebook, YouTube, everywhere.
That's right.
So what efforts do you take to put your content out there, and how do you get the most out of these channels where you put them out?
So obviously there are lots of channels. Obviously social media is a particular channel. Then you have content syndication platforms. You can put your content out there. Then you have got influencer platforms. You can put your content out there to spread it out. So and again, you can do partnerships, special partnerships with companies where you have complementary interests. So for example, if you see logically, SEMrush and Indus has complementary interests. We don't compete with each other, but we can help each other. So organizations like this, they can create partnerships where the content can be distributed across the platforms to the respective TG, where the TGs are quite similar and TGs are again going with similar contextual requirements. I think if you can structure and formalize such partnerships, I mean, your content can go places and it can go to the right people.
You're on the right track there.
Yes.
Yeah. And that brings up the challenge of communication.
Yes.
So communication with your audience is not the only thing, with your clients, and there needs to be a whole channel around how this communication goes, and that's how marketing takes place.
That's
So
right.
what challenges do you face? Do you think that your clients or any companies that have already doing content marketing for a long time, what challenges do they face in getting that message across?
So I think companies need to, so initially you cannot do everything on day one, but eventually I think you also need to kind of evolve the theme, and the theme has to be based on what you really believe in and what benefit you want to give to the community. And when I say the community, it again is the teaching that you want to engage with and work with. So you need to figure out what theme is of value to them. So if if you are targeting digital marketers, and for digital marketer, learning about new emerging technologies and learning about new emerging hacks and techniques is most important. And if your site talks about that, then it makes sense to them. So
Right.
your focus and your theme has to be around that.
Right.
And your communication has to be around that particular offering that you are putting out in the market, which is again around helping digital marketers. And that is your also commercialization of that product as well. So you are helping digital marketers through free content, free inputs, free growth hacks, and then if they need tools to do those growth hacks, they can buy your product. Right?
Exactly.
So it's very similar. So these two things have to be binded in. So you cannot do, so if your target group has an interest in subject A, but subject A has no bearing with your own product or your offering, it's useless to try to create content and tools around product subject A. You must create something which is, again, as I said, contextual. It has to be contextual. Until and unless it is contextual, it will be of no use to anyone.
And consistency to add to that. So
Yes, consistency definitely is important, but I think from time to time you will also have to expand the horizon of what you are offering, your communication, your content, because times change, people change, challenges change.
Yeah.
So you should not just stick to, okay, if I am about giving growth hack tips, I will always remain as about giving growth hack tips.
Right.
I think you may need to go beyond it depending on what your consumers want
need
at
to
that
be
point of time.
flexible.
Yes.
Yeah, indeed. So I think that's about it. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your insights,
Thanks
and
so
I'm
much.
sure it's going to be useful for a lot of marketers out there.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks, bye-bye.